Yeah.
Whereas if you're 80% there, but you are fantastically fun to work with, you're going to have far more opportunities to then grow the rest of that 80% or 20% rather. Anyway.
Welcome to our third episode of Mythical Podcast. I'm your host, Bella, and these are my co-hosts, Matt and Fred.
Yo.
And here with us today is our special guest, Chris O'Neill.
Good to have you, Chris.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
He's an accomplished Melbourne-based multi-instrumentalist, composer, sound designer, and award-winning singer-songwriter. He has worked on various productions with clients such as Google, Canon, Square Enix, Ford, and countless others. He is currently lead audio at a AAA game company, Playside Studios, and runs his own freelance business, Frostfire Audio. In your own words, can you give us a quick rundown of what you do?
Sure. Just day to day then?
Yeah.
Day to day at the moment. Everything. Game audio is a very, very mixed bag day to day. So I mean, for instance, today, a lot of my time was spent just doing kind of general asset assessment, I suppose. A lot of the meetings to do with what do we need, where are we at, milestone setting, and then it's to do with kind of asset reviews is the word I'm after specifically. So that will cover everything from sound effects through to VO stuff and music, and then putting it all in the engine and making it work, and then going, all right, it works. Do we like it? No, fix it. Let's go again, and then kind of changing that iterative process to match whatever's required. So, yeah, I mean that's it. We get to be very hands on with what we're creating too. There's at least a few of the games that I've been a part of where I've been able to. There's been time and there's been scope for me to do music for it as well, which is beautiful. My background was as a composer first and foremost, so it was good to be able to explore that more. Whereas other times, it'll be playing with sound effects, or there hasn't been a lot of VO recording in-house yet, but there's definitely room for that. Hopefully lots of weird and wonderful creature noises and stuff.
Yeah, those are the best ones.
Yeah, and they're the most fun to do for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. So it's clear you're very varied and accomplished as an audio professional, and you've worked on many aspects in the audio industry. What made you get into all of these things?
So a lot of my initial drive came from wanting to be a singer-songwriter. And so when I got to the end of high school, I went, you know what? I want to learn how to be that better. I want to learn how to make that my full-time career. And so I did a degree in composition at Box Hill because that was the best one for songwriting at the time. It was that, or it was NMIT. They were the best options. And went there and went, cool, this is great. Wait, what's this composition for film thing? Oh, this is kind of fun. All right, maybe I want to explore this. And what ended up happening was those two streams kind of diverged, and one would pick up and then the other one would slow down. And that was kind of what I was alternating with for probably the first, 5-7 years of my career. Pursued singer-songwriter stuff really hard, had some really cool opportunities off the back of that. And then as things with that slowed down, all my composition stuff picked up. And I actually hit a really good point a few years ago where my full-time career was combining both of those things. I was doing songwriting for ads that was mostly based in Japan and China and big international companies, but instead of doing the local versions of a Google ad, I'd be doing the ones for Tokyo or Berlin or, fun stuff like that, which is a really interesting place to be operating from when you're writing songs for countries and audiences that English is not their first language. So it's really all about what you can present and connect with at a musical, and then an emotional level and what's implied, even if language connection is not specifically there. So anyway, that was kind of where I pushed for a while. I was always still doing games and VR content, 360 films, stuff like that. And in order to get more games and more film projects previously, you pick up sound design. So I ended up kind of diverging away from singer-songwriter stuff altogether, but suddenly it was between composition and sound design all the time. And that's kind of where things have led to so far was Frostfire projects changed as soon as COVID hit, of course. A lot of things within the industry changed, and lots of film content or projects for last year obviously got put on indefinite hiatus. And so in the process was like, all right, well, there's some really cool opportunities elsewhere. Things at Playside arrived and they kicked up and it was fantastic. And that's kind of the whole road to where I've gotten so far, to be honest, in the very, very short version of it.
So you're the lead at Playside. Can you tell us a bit about the role and how you got there, and the best way for someone to break into that industry as well?
Sure. So how I got there was, I guess, the same sort of story as a lot of people have within the industry, which is just you just keep chugging away at whatever sort of opportunities come your way. And I've actually found that in the last few times where I've sat down with someone and they've asked specifically, like, how do you get in the industry? What are the steps towards it? A lot of the time it tends to be, if you can prioritize developing good human-to-human connections, first and foremost, then as long as you're hitting the work as well, the former is going to be the thing that gets you the jobs, because ultimately people still want to rock up and go to work and have a reasonable time doing so, and you can be the most incredible, perfect niche composer or sound designer or whatever it might be. But if you're a pain in the ass to work with, you're not going to get any work anyway.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're 80% there, but you are fantastically fun to work with, you're going to have far more opportunities to then grow the rest of that 80% or 20% rather. Anyway.
Yeah, that's probably what we're looking to do now. Make
Yeah.
connections. So
For sure, yeah. And so there's a lot of people looking to make connections in the industry locally, even more so overseas now. The capacity to do so with different projects is very much there. And so the main thing really is, you guys will get this as audio engineers, everyone's hungry for opportunities, and you are competing to a point, but also audio people are notorious in cutting each other down and trying to be like, no, I can do that better because I can do every single thing at all times. And there is a level of that is useful, and there's a level of that is just like, nah, I'd much prefer that you, Fred, turn around and go, I'm great at mixing, and Bella goes, I'm great at hosting, and I'm sorry, I missed your name at the start. Matt. And Matt could be like, I'm the one who's going to be putting all the soundtrack to this. And I would much prefer to hire people who know what sort of stuff they can do but operate well in a team than someone who's like, I can do all the things. If you can operate as a team with people that you are comfortable and know what sort of stuff they are fantastically good at, that's infinitely more useful a lot of the time. Long story short, how would you get into the industry? Best sort of steps is going to be networking at a friendship level first and foremost. There's some great events within Games Weeks later this year. That's my favourite week of the year, every time, without fail. But if you go there, audio people, again, are very hungry, and non-audio people don't want to talk to audio people because audio people will be the ones being like, do you want business cards? Do you want, hi, I'm in audio, like, notice me. But if you're just there just talking about how much you really enjoy anything from the culture or anything from a particular game, and you're just vibing with someone and having a good time talking to them, you don't even have to bring up that you're an audio person. They will ask you later on, and then you'd be like, don't let that, put you off. I'm really enjoying our chat right now.
Tell us about your role as lead of audio.
Sure. What specifically would you like to know?
Sort of like, I guess what kind of things you do, like as a sort of overall, like you would say, I'm the person that does this specific sort of thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you delegate tasks?
Yeah,
to
sure. So there's 3 of us now, which is very exciting because it's pretty rare to have one in-house, let alone 3. And we've worked very, very hard to grow the team and our capabilities and everything else to get to that point. So what happens now is, by comparison to, say, the art team is massive. So the lead artist, Ryan, he is a bit less hands-on with the tools. He's a bit less getting in there and actively making things, but he'll be steering things. He'll have a view on all the different projects. And then he'll be kind of weighing on yes, no, change that color. I don't like the direction of this, like shot calling. What I do is very similar, but we have a much smaller team, so I'm often on the tools as well. So it means that I'll be the one sitting in meetings with management or board members or people who are kind of shot calling, or with clients if we're doing external work. And it means that I'll be sitting there saying, yes, we can do this. Oh, I reckon it'll take this long. No, I don't think we can. Oh, have you considered the need for, and especially if you're thinking about wanting to outsource to get extra composition or the stuff that really takes a long time. You need to make sure that people who are a bit further above, who aren't necessarily, they don't really know the process or the times involved, you need to be making sure that they're aware of, if you would really like some specialized music written for this thing and you'd like jazz opera, then it means that we need to get someone really specific to do that, and we need to factor in that for X amount of, months or weeks worth of dev time. So it's managing expectations, managing teams, my little team, shot calling on ideas. So for instance, it'd be like, oh, I don't like the sound that particular thing makes when it explodes. Can we make it beefier? Can we make it smaller? Like contextualizing stuff for, as a whole, what does this project need and how does this one little part complement that? And then if we are, slammed and running out of time or need some demonstrative ideas, then I'll sit in and chop things together and make stuff and do all those sort of things as well. But most of the time, I'm trying not to be getting quite so hands-on with the tools because there is a level of zooming in and zooming out that can be really hard work day to day. Does that make sense? If we're thinking about something as a really, really high tier, so
getting too specific.
Yeah. So, all right here on the table, it's an audio medium, so you can't see that. But everyone else, we have cups on the table, and there's 4 mugs right there. So if my job today is to analyze the 4 mugs or 4 different projects, what I'm looking for is, okay, how much do we need to top up this particular mug today? And am I going to be topping it up with coffee, or am I going to be topping it up with sparkling water based on what that project needs? Now, if I'm looking at this particular table, if I go all the way in and grab an eyedropper and be like, cool, I'm going to measure how much is in this eyedropper, that's zooming right in on particular parts of a project. Okay. So that's me going all the way in and being like, that footstep sound, don't like it, I better make some more. Yeah. As opposed to, how are we managing our timelines for the week? And what is Dave doing today? And Zach is going to be busy for these things, so we need to, that sort of stuff.
So you're looking at it, as a more broad idea.
Yeah, there's a level of almost project management style approach, but again, you get very, very into it sometimes depending on what you need to do.
Yeah.
So today, one of the other things I was doing was one of our composing outsourcing team for a game we released a little while ago called Norris World of Pets. So I wrote some of the music with an old friend of mine, Daniel, and he's the other person who manages a lot of this stuff. So some of my things today was listening through some content that he sent through and just being like, cool, this particular track works, but at 1 minute 34, the piano sounds out of tune in this particular part. So getting right into it,
yeah.
But then zooming out and being like, cool, how's the rest of the project looking? So it really varies day to day. There's a lot of stuff.
Good.
That's good. Also, sort of, what's your favorite game you've worked on?
That I've worked on? Oh, God, okay. I think the games that I've worked on that I probably most enjoyed are for very different reasons. So the thing that kind of got me a little bit of a break, I suppose, the one that allowed people to be like, all right, take them seriously, was I won a pitch to do there's a trip-hop remix of Snake Eater for Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah.
So I got to do that. That was very, very cool. I'd never done trip-hop in my life, and I suddenly had 48 hours to do that. And so that was very, very cool. So that was one that was a good opportunity. Another one was I did the BBC's first ever virtual reality documentary in VR, rather.
Yeah.
And that was, the narrator was Sir Davos from Game of Thrones, Liam Cunningham.
Cool. Yeah.
Oh, the best voice. So got to play with that. But other games have been like I voiced a character many years ago in a game called Primal Carnage Extinction.
Great game.
Yeah. So I don't know what's still left in there, but for a long time I was the voice of the Trapper, which is the only Australian character.
Yeah.
And that was a funny one because we had, again, 3 hours to put the whole thing together. and I was recording, getting eaten by a T-Rex death screams at midnight on a Monday, so it was an interesting time. Yeah, those are probably the main ones, I think. There's been some really cool stuff. And I mean, Norris has been pretty cool to work on as far as musical components, but they're the big ones.
All right. Something we've noticed in our own practice is that audio's looked over over than in a production, and
Yeah.
it's kind of ignored sometimes. How true is it for you? And if so, how do you keep motivated?
Sure. So, overlooked at that sort of level is often more to do with, again, visibility. There's been a really big push since I joined Playside to make sure that audio visibility is really, really strong, which is hard when you are working remotely during a pandemic. Given that audio people tend to be outsourced anyway. So it's, again, like I said before, it's very rare for there to be people who are specifically full-time audio employees in Australia or in the industry in general. And so when you're not in-house, you're often not privy to the meetings that just general flow of conversation will be like, oh yeah, and then we should probably, oh, that's a great idea. And then 3 days later, you're like, what the fuck just happened to this game? So it definitely happens. And it's something that, again, I know that myself and a few other people are making really, really strong efforts to try and change. So, yeah, how do I keep motivated? I mean, the content that we get to make is pretty cool. So, like,
Yeah, I can
that's
imagine.
definitely part of it. Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
And it's, at the end of the day, though, like, it is work. There are going to be times where it's fun, or it's hard work, or it's what is going on, or oh my god, I'm so tired. Like it's just like any other job, really.
Yeah.
But when it's good, it's very, very good.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Bella.
It's true. My understanding that you're also part of a band.
Oh yeah.
Chasing Ghosts.
Yeah. Yes.
A album came out recently, or single.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An EP.
So we launched a new record, which is very exciting. It's been a strange ride because like it got picked up by some really, really cool entities, but also, again, pandemic, like hard to tour this thing right now. We've just announced some tour dates and we're going to do our very best, but part of us is also like, see how we go. Yeah, so I play keys and I do backing vocals in Chasing Ghosts. We released Homelands on June 4, so it's still pretty fresh. I mean, Rolling Stone has picked it up, and they gave us a 4.5 out of 5, which is huge.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, these are like, we're all old blokes. Like, the oldest in our band is, I think, 42, 43, and the youngest is 31. So, like, we're all looking at this like, where the fuck was this 10 years ago? Like, we worked really hard. But, yeah, it's an interesting one because there's some great things coming through. The stories are awesome. Jimmy's very, very talented as a storyteller and a vocalist, and the whole band is just full of wonderful humans. And I'm really glad to be a part of it because it's been a really cool ride so far.
Yeah, I was listening to it, the one that just came out the other day, and it had a really nice message. So.
Dig, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we are, of course, we're always still writing. There's always more things happening. So it's gonna be a fun time, I think. We'll see what happens in the next little while, whether everything starts to open up and we can go play the shows we want to play, or whether we got to sit tight for longer.
Are you writing right now, or is it a little break after the release?
Oh, I mean, there's always something going on for sure.
Good,
Sure,
good.
yeah. Because I mean, a lot of the actual writing on these songs was done quite a while ago.
Yeah.
So we're only now just getting to a place where we can actually be like, we did a thing, but we did it a while ago, so we're still doing,
That's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess my next question is, how do you juggle all these like various avenues? Because you're in a band, you have your own website and own business, and then you're also a lead at Playside. Like, there's a lot of things really
There's a lot.
impressive.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, a lot of coffee. No, I've actually found in the last little while, my approach for a long time was like I just burn the candle at both ends, and just go as hard as I can, say yes to everything, like do it, And I had a time in 2019 where like I burned the fuck down. Like it was awful, and it's taken me a long time to actually get back from that. And so nowadays I try and spend more time allocating time to actually, doing mindfulness, doing yoga when I can, doing stuff breathing exercises, like just stuff that is really about separating from the go because as counterintuitive as it feels, if you can stop to allocate just a little bit of time to reset, it's infinitely better.
Guess that's all we got time for then. Thanks so much for coming on this episode with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You are very welcome. It's been fun.
Yeah. And please check out more of Chris' works at frostfireaudio.com. Keep an eye out for his work at Playside. And don't forget to check out his band, Chasing Ghosts, his new EP, Homelands. And they've just announced they're on tour, so check that out as well. Yeah. Awesome.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
I never thought that I would survive.